YouTube. Welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time, hello, my name is Casey. We usually talk about functional neurological disorder on this channel as of recent because that has pretty well taken over my life. So today I am going to be talking about pretty well like what functional neurological disorder is and new things I've learned essentially. So it just made a video that my 1 year of being diagnosed just came up, and so I made that video a couple days before my anniversary, and on my actual anniversary I spent some time watching videos and reading up, just kind of refreshing my memory and seeing if there's anything else that I need to learn about FND. Obviously, in the first year that I was diagnosed, I did a lot of research, but I think that as time goes by, you kind of forget a few things, and I just really wanted to refresh my memory as I'm coming up in another year, and I want to go forward with as much information as possible in order to reach recovery, whatever that looks like. So I'm coming to you today in a new room, new scenery, unpainted walls, well, unfinished. I painted professionally 2 years ago, and so I was helping my parents paint their house, and then I got sick, and so there was a room that is half painted in their house, and I feel terrible about it, but yeah, maybe one day it'll get finished. What else do I have to say before we start? Oh, yeah, so I took a shower and, did my hair and put a little bit of makeup on. I just have some blue eyeliner and some Peche earrings. Trying to experiment with makeup a little bit and actually get myself ready for the day. I will wear the same outfit for multiple days in a row and not shower or brush my teeth. This is very shameful for me to say, but that is what happens when you get a little bit depressed and down because you feel like shit. Yeah, that's that. So I actually wrote notes. I look like I'm telling a scary story. I actually wrote notes this time. I usually don't, so this might be a little challenging for me to continuously look down and read, but we'll just go with it. So if you're coming here and you already have functional neurological disorder and you know something that I don't, please tell me below. If this is your first time hearing about this disorder, or you're kind of trying to understand somebody that has it, good for you. I don't know everything. I'm not a doctor or scientist. Yeah, I don't know a whole lot. I've just been experiencing this disorder for some time now. Kind of more intense for the last year. Anyway, so we're just going to kind of get on the basics of FND. So a lot of people already know that functional neurological disorder essentially is the brain is having trouble sending and receiving signals from the body and working with the nervous system. There is nothing structurally wrong with the brain or the body with this happening. So it's kind of interesting for doctors because unlike MS or ALS, there's something actually there that's causing these symptoms, but for FND, it's not really 100% understood as to what is happening. So it used to be called convergence disorder, and they named it that around 100 years ago because what they thought was happening is that psychological stress was essentially converting into physical stress, and that is what was going on. So they thought that it was purely kind of this psychological thing happening. But they have since changed the name to functional neurological disorder because they are not 100% sure if that's actually what's going on. I think a lot of people are treated in that sense of, this is happening due to stress. I know that's what they're saying to me, which is kind of hard for me to believe, but I'll tell you why in a minute. So what they kind of do, and this is what you'd kind of hope in like the best case scenario of seeing a doctor, is if you had these kind of symptoms happening, like seizure-like activity, paralysis, blindness, mute, anything really, shaking, tremors. So when you come to them with these symptoms, they want to rule everything out that could be, Parkinson's, MS, epilepsy. And then if they come to that, okay, well, they're, we're missing some information, like nothing is showing up, you'd hope that neurologist and psychiatrist and maybe a general practitioner or internist would come and all work together to work these things out. And then, yes, they're going to ask the question, okay, did anything severe, traumatizing happen to you before this happened, They talk about with, disasters that happen, people will come in to the hospital, and because the disaster was so traumatizing, the person is not actually physically hurt, but because of that traumatizing event, they might have paralysis or be blind or deaf. And so they try to then work with you and with, pair you with someone that they think might be able to help you. So if you have some very intense psychological stress, they're going to probably pair you with a psychiatrist and, hopefully a counselor, and work with you to figure out those issues. And then, sometimes it can happen through physical stress too. I've read that. I don't know that that's as common. I'm not 100% sure how that works, but I think it can happen after people go through surgeries, or they break a leg, or something intense, maybe a car accident, and so I don't really know how they work that out. But if you say have paralysis or walking issues, or gait, which I had, my left leg would drag, and I could not walk, and I was very unbalanced, and so I was in a wheelchair, and I started going to physiotherapy, and she just kind of got me to do balance exercises, and standing on one foot and taking big steps, and over time, I think within the span of a month of doing these exercises every day, it got to be quite better where I could walk with a cane. And then it took me a couple months with a cane and being persistent that I was able to gain back walking. So that the idea of that is so that the body, it already knows how to move. You just are trying to remind it. Anyways, so that's kind of about the name. But yes, so again, we know that there's like no actual damage to the brain. And so just some symptoms, is, they call them all functional, but I'm just going to say, so functional seizures, that is like such a tough one. And I think I'm going to do a separate video on this because I struggle now mostly with functional seizures on a daily basis, and I can like almost not leave the house because of such severe anxiety of having them in public, because I go mute, I cannot walk, I shake, I also get dystonia, which is, yeah, we'll talk about that. Anyways, so, and then you get tremors, which is shaking, obviously. So dystonia is when your body gets stuck in unusual positions. It can last, from hours to days. So I've seen some more severe dystonia in some people where they have to get splints because their body is stuck. So I get dystonia in my hands where my fingers will start to get stuck, like going backwards like that. And then when I'm having a functional seizure, I'll also get dystonia, and I usually get one arm that will come up and get stuck like this, and also my left leg curls in and my body curls in. So I had a pretty bad one. When I went to the doctor's the other day, I like came out of the elevator and I was so anxious at the doctor's appointment, and then when I came out of the elevator, I all of a sudden stopped, and I get like vertigo sometimes, so I thought I was feeling vertigo from the elevator, and I was very shocked because usually I get warnings. I all of a sudden stopped, got like this weird vertigo, and then my eyes shut, and it felt like I got hit, and then my arm came up, and then my mom was like, oh god, and so she sat me down, and then she had to go get the car, so she was like, I'll be right back. So I was sitting on the bench all curled up with my eyes closed, and it was so awkward and uncomfortable, and I was like hyperventilating crazy, and someone sat beside me, and I could like hear that they were there, but obviously I couldn't see them or communicate to them, but they didn't say anything to me, which I thought was kind of weird. Anyways, yeah, so you can also get gait is a symptom that is where you have walking difficulties. Facial spasms, which they put as a symptom, which is very interesting. I get those in my seizures. Tics, drop attacks, where you just kind of fall. I also get those, but you don't lose consciousness. Sensory symptoms, so this is either like they kind of talk about plus or minus. So plus would be, you know, pins and needles, crawling sensations, and then minus would be numbness and like paralysis. And then cognitive symptoms. I never, for some reason, I didn't really know that this was a part of functional neurological disorder. I hate saying it. I should just say FND. But I have been having issues with this. I just like lose my train of thought, and then I just don't know what I'm talking about anymore, and it's very like frustrating when I'm talking to someone, and all of a sudden I just like my memory is just gone, and also like have an issue finding words a lot of the time, and I also just like barely remember the last year, and I thought it could also be from medication, but I think that it might be more from the disorder. Speech issues, so stuttering, whisper, slur, swallowing issues. This is another one I didn't know about. If you feel like you have a lump in your throat, and that's very interesting. Dizziness, vision, and so apparently you can get blindness, which I did not know. I knew that you could get like paralyzed, which is so strange. But I did not know that you could get blindness, so that's kind of crazy. And then dissociation, which is another one. I have like the functional seizures, they also will call them dissociation seizures or dissociative. That sucks. It's very confusing. When I first was having a lot of bad seizures, and I'd space out and feel really weird, it's kind of scary because you feel like you're losing your mind, and that's how you are going to be forever, but it does not last. You know, well, it might last a little bit, but that is not your forever consciousness. I think my tongue gets, I don't know what it is, like spasms. It's weird. I can like feel it pulsating really. Yeah, it's very distracting. Other symptoms can be chronic pain, which thankfully I don't really have. Oh, hold on. I think I missed something. Oh, never mind. Fatigue, which I have horribly. And I'm trying to figure out, this is like one of my, I would say second worst, because the seizures are the worst. I have such bad fatigue. I've been trying to figure out how to work with it, and I don't know if it's just from FND or I am taking a very high dose of pregabalin, which is supposed to be for tremors as well as pain, and I think fatigue is its biggest side effect, so I don't know if that is what's giving me fatigue, but I am awfully tired all the time. And then you can get insomnia or sleeping too much. I experience both sometimes, but whatever. Anyways, headaches, also. IBS are bladder issues, and so I started having bladder issues when I was like 17, and it's so weird. This is what I was going to talk about too. I am like almost wondering if I've had like this slow build of FND, because I think that maybe the first time that it happened was when I was like 16 and I ate a pot brownie. This is so stupid. But, and I tried to go to sleep and then I woke up like really, really stoned and like really out of it. And that was the first time I ever had a bad experience with weed. And so it was horrible. Like I was getting really, really bad sensations, like burning, like I was on fire all over my body. And I think that was like the first like FNT episode that I had. And then from then I started having bladder issues. And then the next few times that I had intense FNT symptoms was weed. I didn't learn the first time. I think it took me a couple times to be like, okay, I can't do that. And then it just like progressed, even though I wasn't consuming marijuana. It just got worse and worse. And so like part of me thinks that mine was set off from marijuana use. But I don't know. I don't know, because people use weed to also help them, but I cannot have marijuana. Yes. So I found an interesting thought. Some doctor. I'm sorry, I do not like keep all the resources. I'm very unorganized when it comes to these things. I really sucked at writing. Well, I was good at writing in school, but I was not good at like finding and keeping my resources. So I'm sorry. You're just gonna have to believe me. But there was a doctor that was talking about, you know, they don't fully understand why FND happens, obviously, but they're saying that the reason why the brain stops working in this situation is that the brain is trying to get rid of painful situations, or sensations, sorry, or the brain is shutting down a part of the body in response to a situation it thinks is threatening. And then obviously some people can have very short-lived symptoms, or some people can have them that last for a very long time. And then I'm just gonna, so this is also very interesting. It says the emotional part of the brain that's responsible for automatic and unconscious movements. So like, you know, unconscious as in like driving a car, like it's just very automatic. Like you don't really have to think about what you're doing. It has to communicate to the rational side of the brain, which is obviously easy, like in a normal situation. But when a trauma occurs and you suppress emotions, or you're living in high stress all the time, your brain no longer communicates with the proper. It no longer communicates with the rational side anymore. And then what happens is when you're no longer in like super high stress environments, your brain starts to communicate. And so it's saying, you know, the emotional part of the brain likes to be heard. So when it doesn't feel like it's being heard, that's when sensations start to feel different. And it says the body is feeling all sorts of sensations all the time, like from the world. You know, you're getting all of these messages and input, but your brain knows like which ones are important, which ones aren't necessarily important. Like it can filter through. So essentially, your brain can either turn up or turn down sensations. So when you're really, really highly stressed, your brain is going to turn down all the sensations, and then it can also turn up sensations. And so it's saying that when it is turned up, that you might feel really high pain or things that aren't there, like pins and needles, crawling, and you can also have see, I'm not used to wearing makeup, so then I rub my face. Sorry, I feel like this is like very unorganized. I'm trying my best to keep it together. So in this thought, so you can have too much, so like too much sensation, and then also too much body movement, like so this is where seizures would come in and tremors, so you're having too much. And then you can also have it turned down, so negative, so you're getting numbness and blindness, or you can't walk, and also the freeze when you can't move. I get that as well. And it says that that's when the brain might be sensing that something is wrong or you're in danger, but you're not necessarily. Yeah. Anyways, that's like an interesting thought that someone had said, and I never really looked at it in that way. But I've heard like a few doctors now on the internet say that FND is treatable, and I'm like, is it though? So these are like the most common treatments. Physiotherapy, which is awesome. I think that it can help people a lot, if you're having walking issues and stuff, or you're moving funny. Like, again, when I was not able to walk properly, physiotherapy helps to take away some of my symptoms, which was awesome. And then therapy can help if you are struggling with like anxiety and depression, or you went through something extremely traumatic, like it can help you work through things. I don't know if once you work through those stresses, if oh god. Alright. I think I'm okay. I'm just like a little spacey here. I'm gonna try and continue. I think my thought I can't open my eyes. I think my thought there was that, yeah, I don't know if you work through your trauma, if it cures your FND. And then you can do speech therapy if you're having issues with speaking or with swallowing, apparently. And then medication can be used to treat symptoms as well, like tremors. Again, I don't know if me taking pregabalin is helping me. I think it helps a little bit. And then taking anti-anxiety medication, which has been helpful, I think. Okay, that's like pretty well the end of this video. Here's an example of dystonia. Like, my hand is just stuck like that. This is how I know that like I'm gonna have episode is when my hands start to curl. I also get like a stabbing pain in my face. This video's getting long. I just wanted to like do a little checkup with you guys and talk quickly about what's been going on with me. I like to talk about TV shows and just good TV shows to recommend to people because I always like to have a TV show on the go because obviously, you know, if you're in bed a lot, it's nice to watch some TV. And so my mom recently recommended Ragnarok to me on Netflix. So it's about Norse mythology and it's based in Norway. So it is dubbed over in English, but I really, really like it. It's quite unique. So you guys should check that out. And then a book that I just started reading is When the Body Says No by Gabor Mate. And it like hits hard. It's so good. I like 110% recommend it to all of you. It's pretty much about like having good boundaries and how important it is to, you know, look after your mental health, you know, or else it's going to affect your physical health. And then the other one was I did go to the doctor's this week to get a doctor's note for work. My work has said that they're going to hold on to my position as long as I keep giving them doctor's notes. It's kind of crazy, so I talked to my doctor, and you know, the idea is that I should be 6 months seizure free before I go back to work because I was driving for work. So I told him that it seemed unrealistic, and he was like, oh no, like I think that you can make it happen. So I'm like, okay. Anyways, we're doing more blood tests to, you know, just check up on everything and make sure everything's all good. I'm kind of hounding them on me going to the movement clinic in Vancouver because that would be, you know, good for me. I don't know, I just like feel a little bit stuck right now. Like there's nothing moving. Like I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing to get better. I am obviously like on medication, but I don't really know what else I'm supposed to be doing, and I think that I need more medical professionals on my side, but we don't really have anybody here. So yeah, I would just like to connect to people that are more familiar with my disorder because, you know, it's been a year that my life has been pretty messed up, and so, you know, things aren't amazing, so I'd like them to get better. So I'm trying to, you know, keep up on that. Yeah, besides that, this video is way too long, but thanks again to everybody for watching. I always appreciate all of you. I appreciate all your comments. Yeah, just so much love to you guys. If this video was at all entertaining or educational, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe. I love seeing you guys subscribe. It helps the channel grow. And yeah, comment down below and tell me some facts about FND that I did not mention, because, you know, we all need to learn some more. If you want to hit me up on Instagram, it's just my name, Casey Clee. And that's it. Bye, guys.